NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2025 World Gymnastics Championships. For the first time in the history of the sport, the World Championships in gymnastics have moved to Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia, where today we will award the medals in the women's all-around finals. The men's medals for the all-around have already been awarded, and today it's the opportunity for the women to take the floor for their first medals of these World Championships. Indonesia Arena is the site of the event. I am John Roethlisberger, joined by Olympic champion Laurie Hernandez, Olympic silver medalist Sam Pesek for what looks to be a very competitive all-around finals. Well, just over a week prior to competition beginning, these World Championships became controversial after the local government, in a move that it said was, quote, in line with Indonesia's commitment to supporting Palestinian independence, rejected visas for the Israeli gymnasts who had earned the right to compete here. The International Gymnastics Federation said in a statement that it took note of the decision to ban Israel, but did not pull the event from Jakarta. Israel's Gymnastics Federation called the ban outrageous and appealed to have its gymnasts compete, but those efforts were denied. The International Olympic Committee, which has no official role in this event but had tried to broker a resolution, held an executive board meeting earlier this week and on Wednesday announced that the executive board has decided in part that Indonesia won't be considered to host any Olympics or related events until access for all participating nationalities is guaranteed, and recommended to all international federations not to host Olympic qualifying events in any country that can't guarantee access for all participating nationalities. The IOC statement also reaffirmed its position, quote, all eligible athletes, teams, and sports officials must be able to take part in international sports competitions and events without any form of discrimination from the host country, in accordance with the Olympic Charter and the fundamental principles of non-discrimination, autonomy, and political neutrality that govern the Olympic movement, close quote. So a bit of controversy coming into these World Championships, unfortunately, but right now we are jumping to the headline, and it's the women's all-around finals. Greta Mayer will be the first gymnast to go here on the floor exercise. She is from Hungary. And Sam and Laurie, we looked at the start list to this competition. It feels as wide open as I can remember an all-around final at a World Championships.
There was a lot of mistakes on this event and on vault during the qualification, so these athletes are hoping to adjust to the equipment a little bit better. That first pass was stunning.
Pretty much 2 stuck passes so far, but Sam, like you said, it sounds like the equipment is a bit tough.
And when you say tough, it sounds like it's firm. Like gymnasts of the world know, hey, how soft is the floor, how hard is the floor, the vault, or the vault board, and I think that's kind of what you're referring to, right, Laurie?
Yeah, well, you know, especially for the floor exercise, you have to stay incredibly tight to make sure you can bounce, but when the floor also feels tight, we might see a lot of mistakes in short landings. Oh, like that.
1 foot out of bounds is that 1/10 deduction, and usually you start seeing those mistakes towards the end of the routine.
Chest down and short on that landing as well, and there is some curiosity of, is it the equipment, is it endurance? The competition has only just started, so we shall see.
Greta qualified 21st all-around coming into these all-around finals. Top 24 from the qualifications make it to today's competition.
It's her 3rd senior world championships, but first time in the all-around finals. First 2 passes really stood out to me. Working hard to punch the floor hard, getting her chest up on the landings. Guys, I'm thinking about when you buy a new couch, you have to work it in so that it's comfortable. That's a little like how the vault and floor has been described to us.
We just got a new couch analogy, and that's the first time, but it's totally
and
accurate.
I liked it.
It is. It's a great analogy. Now Leanne Wong competing in her first event here in these all-around finals. She is a world all-around medalist. Can she do it again?
She's an athlete that's competed a lot this year at the NCAA level, at the elite level. So if there's someone that is not new to this type of pressure, it's Leanne Wong, and this is looking fantastic. Good rhythm to start things off.
I do believe both Leanne and Dulcie have a chance at medaling today if they're able to hit really clean, nice routines, but the pressure is on. So far, like you said, great routine.
This is
moving
unbelievable.
at a beautiful rhythm.
Hitting all of her handstands. That one step on the dismount is the biggest deduction that I saw. Could not have done that in a more clean fashion.
Absolutely. That was fantastic start for the American.
Starting a competition the right way is one of the most important things, and I do know that once a competition starts like this, it's like, all right, you just want to keep the momentum moving. How can we not necessarily recreate that perfection, but carry it over into the next events?
And I'm curious quickly as we see Kalia Namor get ready to go on the vault. Starting on bars, it's equivalent to high bar for the men. A nerve-wracking place to start, in my opinion. I want to hear more later, though, as we see Kalia's vault.
She fell on this vault in qualification, was able to put it to her feet, did a better job getting her chest up on the landing.
However, we are looking for height and distance. So right here, those arms were a bit bent on the table, causing her to lose some of that distance and land with her chest down. But like you said, she hit the vault, and for her to have a mistake in qualifications and still come out in third, again, during qualifications, that's huge.
Yeah, that's an upgrade for her in the qualification. Not a perfect vault, still has room to improve, but she should be happy with that.
Naomi Vissa from the Netherlands now takes to the balance beam. She has made the all-around final in 6 straight world championships. Talk about consistency. Tough to do in the sport of gymnastics.
One of the only Dutch gymnasts to make finals this competition.
The Dutch Gymnastics Federation done really quite well the last decade or so. Lori, your Olympics in Rio, of course, we know Sanne Wevers won the Olympic gold on balance beam.
Man, completely missed the left hand on the back handspring. I thought she almost had the ability to save it, but it looked like it surprised her also.
It was a little undercut as well, so not getting enough height on or momentum on that first aerial and then causing her to miss her hand.
Not only are these athletes on beam feeling the pressure, but it's also on a podium, which can add an extra bounce. Beautiful double turn. It's a really tough skill to do under pressure.
I mentioned starting the meet on bars could be a tough spot, but beam, I imagine you guys, you know, what's it like to get up there on that 4-inch wide beam and have to start your world all-around final?
I mean, personally, my hands and ankles would shake a lot when I'd get nervous, so it's just not great for a 4-inch piece of equipment. And you know, for Dutch gymnasts, I feel like we see a lot of dance elements. There's lots of turns and connection bonuses, so definitely no room for mistakes there.
More fluid beam workers, absolutely. She's, oh man, her arm was just right there on that back handspring.
Really tough to start off a competition with a mistake, but Namor here, 13.466 on vault. Great way to start off the competition.
Much better than the qualification round for her.
What's fun about all-around competitions is that it's cumulative scoring nature, so some gymnasts may have strengths that other all-arounders don't, so we'll see a constant shuffling of place until the actual competition is over.
Marina Kishi now on the uneven bars. Bars just seems tough because you have those precise handstands you got to hit and you can't go over. When you're so nervous at the beginning of a competition, seems like a tough place to begin.
Like we mentioned earlier, with the floor being tougher, tight equipment, bars also has a different kind of bounce. So seeing the gymnast adapt here is definitely an important aspect of hitting a nice routine. Here she's got beautiful timing.
Way above the bar on that release move.
little stumble there on the dismount, so that'll be a few tenths deduction. But overall, she had quite a speed to that routine. It's like you want to look for those handstands and be able to use them as a place to take a deep breath and rest and pause, because for bars, that's the only place you can.
13.8 for Leanne Wong to start her competition, comparable to the score she got in qualifications for Kishi from Japan. She is in her second World Championships, finished 11th all around in 2023. And now the top qualifier from the qualification rounds is a veteran, Angelina Melnikova. She is a Russian, but she is competing here as a neutral athlete at these World Championships per FIG protocol.
She'll be doing a double twisting Yurchenko.
And it is so
gorgeous,
good in the air. Her hip position is completely flat. Legs tend to be together. We'll see the slow-mo.
Let's see if she went over this line. She looked down at her foot. I'm curious.
Yeah, you could see her shoulders already started turning on the table. Her feet twisted towards the end. Oh, so close to that line.
Saved it.
If you're on vault, it's like tennis. If you are on the line, it is in. If you go over the line with 1 foot, it's a 10th. 2 feet is a 3/10 deduction. And again, reminder to those watching as we see Greta Mayer's score in the floor exercise to start the competition, 12.7 for her. The qualification round does not carry over. So I mentioned Angelina Melnikova was the top qualifier, but those scores do not carry over. Everybody starts with a clean slate. Naomi Vissa from the Netherlands, 12.233, unfortunate fall there. A lot of falls in the qualifications, and we were talking amongst ourselves before this competition started. It felt like, in a way, survival of the fittest. You know, if you hit 4, you're giving yourself a chance at a medal here at these World Championships is what it feels like. Aiko Sugihara now from Japan. Second highest qualifier coming into this all-around final. Tremendous day one competition for her, actually.
Doing a Yurchenko 1.5.
Oh!
But what makes her so special is how good of an execution score she can get. In qualification, she got a 9.3, and this should be at least a 9.3 or better.
And look at that. You nailed it, Sam. 9.3 execution score.
Air. Oh, my goodness. You know, clean execution is a strategy, and it's great when we're seeing lots of difficulty, but if you're falling on difficult skills, then that score is going to drop. So doing clean, nice, and maybe a little lower difficulty of gymnastics is a strategy. And for her to hit when it counts as well, it's why during qualifications we saw her in that second place spot.
Well, guys, a Japanese woman has never won the all-around title. So she could be in contention for that top spot if she continues how she started.
Melnikova, 14.1. That puts her in first. And actually, it would be the first all-around medal for a Japanese woman since Mai Murakami won silver in 2018. So trying to make some history for Japan. Karina Schoenmeier from Germany on the vault here to begin her competition. Came in with the 6th highest score in qualification. So again, some new names that we're seeing, but these names, they've got a chance to make their own history here and get on that medal podium.
Watch how she comes off the table.
Oh my God, it was a huge vault, but man, so many steps and both feet out of bounds. They're gonna crush her on that landing.
We could talk a bit about how difficult it is to land a twisting vault. Specifically on sticking a twisting vault, because that momentum soaring high and far backwards while also twisting and landing, it's like, that's tough.
Yeah, she landed in 4 steps, a hop, 3 steps, both feet out of bounds. You're looking at probably at least 7/10 of a point just on that landing, which is too bad because it was a big vault, probably one of the bigger vaults we're going to see in this entire competition. Riina Kishi, 13.033, currently puts her in the 5th spot, as I mentioned. Melnikova in the top spot currently. Sugihara in 2nd. Leanne Wong with that 13.8 on bars currently sits in the 4th spot. Brianna Scott from Australia on the floor exercise.
This is her 3rd World Championships, but First time competing in the all-around finals.
Made her Olympic debut in Paris, finished 10th in the team event. Was 12th in balance beam qualifications. I'm excited to see her routine this morning.
Difficulty in this routine in comparison to a lot of the other athletes here, which makes the execution score and the landings even more important for this routine to score high.
For beam and floor, artistry is also a deduction, so making sure that the choreography is fully extended and that the attitude and attention to that is there, you can get deducted for that. Or for lack of it.
Good start for the #1 gymnast from Australia, the current national champion.
Facial expression is also something that needs to be paid attention to during a floor routine. We're looking at posture, all a part of execution.
Schoenmeyer, 13.566 for her vault. Brianna Scott from Australia qualified in the 19th spot. Guys, she may not come into this all-around final thinking, you know, I got a shot at the medal, but it's her first all-around final. Qualified 19th. Is your game plan? Look, obviously everybody wants to hit. That's what they're going to tell you, but do better than you did in qualifying, right? Try to be top 15, top 10 would be a huge accomplishment. We'll see if they can do that. For the United States on vault, here is Dulcie Kaler.
Doing a Yurchenko double full. She also has the ability to make this look so clean, and her vault score usually helps her all-around standings because of how much block she gets and how high her chest is on the landing, which really helps her score.
And 13.966, that puts her in the 2nd spot currently. And Dulcie, a bit of a surprise, went to the selection competition and she went out and she won it. And that's an automatic berth to these world championships. And of the athletes there, not a lot, maybe her and her coaches really believed that that was a possibility, but they announced the scores and she was on the top, and that meant she's at these world championships. And I'll tell you what, she's earned it. She's looked fantastic this summer and certainly at that camp.
Absolutely. With this being one of her first big international competitions, I mean, what a feat to have medal contention, especially in the all-around finals.
Ludmila Roshina, also a Russian, competing here as an individual neutral athlete.
This bar routine is really incredible. She actually has the 2nd highest difficulty score next to Namor. But this is really the event that she shines on, and just watch how quick she is. So much difficulty, jam-packed, good combinations.
I am seeing a little bit of some height issues with those release moves of either catching too close to the bar or in that pack salto earlier. It looked like she almost missed her hand, but she keeps it going, and here's the dismount, sticks it.
I'm curious to see how she's going to continue to do throughout these world championships. She's going to be in that bar finals, and if she has some mistakes, I bet she is going to continue to do well throughout this next quad, so it's a name that you're going to want to watch out for.
13.833 for her, just 17 years old. Actually, Sam finished 8th in the qualification on bars, but the old 2 per country rule got her, so only 2 athletes per country allowed to go into those finals, so she was the 3rd. Unfortunately, too strong. Her teammates are too strong on that event.
Man, I hate when that happens.
Celia Storr from Germany now on the balance beam.
Already beginning the routine with a broken connection. Really difficult when you have an acro mount like that.
just 17 years old, making her World Championship debut. Qualified in the 17th spot.
Strong series. Again, we're seeing those bobbles throughout this routine. It's really hard to start a beam routine with some mistakes because then it gets in your head. As much as you want to forget about it and stay in the moment, you're really trying to, quote unquote, make it up the rest of the routine.
I would love to hear you talk a bit more about absorbing the landing, because here I think we're seeing a great sort of example on landing a bit stiffly, which causes more wobbles.
When you're in big competitions or you might feel little nerves, the tendency is to rush your beam routine. And that tends to show up in the landings, and you stand up quicker to a straight leg. So you're not getting the full effect of absorbing the beam and feeling completely balanced. We'll point out another example of some athletes that do a really good job, like the Chinese athletes typically do an amazing job absorbing the beam.
It almost feels like they're exhaling at the perfect time, or like the beam is a sponge and there's water melting into it. But when you are too stiff and that anxiousness tightens your muscles, it definitely causes a lot more wobbles.
Yeah, easier said than done, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when we've been in these critical moments where your nerves and your heart is racing fast. It's hard to slow down and be a little more patient.
Did you ever choreograph breath in your routine?
I didn't, but I should have.
We had to. It was like I'd get so nervous and anxious that I would hold my breath, and then all of my energy kind of went to my chest, and I'd wobble a lot.
Wow.
So we'd have to learn to exhale on landings, and it definitely helped.
Well, hopefully these athletes are listening to you right now.
Brianna Scott at 12.433 for her effort on the floor exercise. As we're coming down the stretch here in this first rotation of this women's all-around finals. Alba Batisco on the uneven bars for Spain. Third World Championships for her, two-time Olympian as well.
Starting off with a Jaeger release move, working hard. You want to see the handstands in the vertical shape.
The way she's able to use the bars and the equipment is fantastic. I love seeing the bars bend under her swing. It means she's able to relax underneath it, hopefully getting her some more height.
Job well done. Just this year, she became the first Spanish gymnast to win a medal in an individual all-around final at a European Championships. So hoping that her efforts here continue that successful momentum she's had this year.
Qualified in the 10th spot, so trying to improve on that qualification finish. 12.933 on this event in the qualifications. We'll see how this routine compares to that one. For Storr on the balance beam, 12.7.
I do feel like typically for beam, we see an average of high 13s, low 14s of scores that will come on in. So anything below that will not make podium.
So shout out to Shannon Welker and Missouri Tiger Nation, because they right now, they are cheering in Columbia for Kaija Tonskanen. She is a Missouri Tiger. She's representing Finland here at these World Championships in her first all-around final.
And just a sophomore at the University of Missouri. Beautiful triple series. Another athlete similar to Leanne Wong that's been competing a lot this year, which I think is a positive, especially for this event right here, to work through those nerves.
Part of something I think she does incredibly well is not showing any issues or mistakes that are happening in the skills. She's able to cover them with her landing and keep the flow of the routine moving. So even if she may think that she's off on a skill, hopefully visually, we won't notice. And I think that's the sign of a great beam worker.
Yeah, keeping that rhythm consistent from start to finish, again, might seem like something simple, but really tough to do in and out of these skills.
Kaija comes from a family of gymnasts. Her dad, Yuha, competed at a World Championships. Her uncle, Yanni, actually won a world gold medal as we see her finish her beam routine on high bar at a World Championships I competed in, you guys. That's how far back we're going to go. There's her mom, Kim, I believe, just gave her the high five.
Well, this triple series was really impressive. Good push from that back leg. Gets her chest up quick. Spots the end of the beam. Nicely done.
Places her arms exactly where she wants them. I felt like for most of those skills, her arms had an exact place, and sometimes when those arms move around, we see a lot of mistakes.
13.466 for Patisco. An improvement, significant improvement from the qualification round on that event. Puts her currently in a tie for the 7th spot. Going to move over to vault. Zhang Qingying from China.
She has a lower start value.
And the question is, you know, with a low start value such as this, where is she going to make it up? And we'll typically see that on bars and beam.
Yeah, just a 13 on that vault. A little bit of pike in that air, and not the cleanest landing with that probably 3/10 step. So that's where they ended up on that 13, but we'll see what she does the rest of the way. She qualified in the 4th spot, so certainly a contender.
Yeah, beam is really where she shines, so we'll see her expertise a little more later.
Abigail Martin now from Great Britain on the uneven bars.
I just love the way she absolutely attacks this event. Because she's so willing to swing with such almost fearlessness, we're seeing height and dynamics.
Yeah, she is so aggressive working the bar. You talked about watching the bar bend. She is pressing on that bar so hard. That's why she's able to get so high on these release moves. That was fun.
We're seeing lots of stuck landings here as well. But yeah, exhilarating bar routine. Fast hands.
Watch when she swings, the bar bends. Lori, you were talking about this earlier. That is so important. The best bar workers in the world are able to get the bar to bend to get the maximum amount of height and power on these skills.
13.466 for Martin. That is a big improvement over night one for the 17-year-old. She finished 4th in the team event in Paris in her Olympic debut.
This is always the toughest part, waiting for your turn. It's like you train to get up onto the equipment, but those moments before, that's where sometimes the doubt and those intrusive thoughts can creep in. So mental toughness is definitely important right before the routine begins, and the judge salutes you right there.
Natalia Escalera from Mexico on the floor exercise.
Well, you see her put her hand on her chest, Lori. You might know a little something about that.
Yeah, that was the breathing technique I used to do. You look down at your stomach, take a deep breath, and hopefully calm down. Oh, banger. Good song. Okay, Bad Bunny floor music. I mean, it's a classic too, but I love the fact that she's able to keep that energy in her tumbling passes and in her choreography.
love this routine. The artistic value, it's unique. The facial expressions, the energy you mentioned throughout, that was outstanding and a lot of fun to watch.
This is what I want to see in terms of artistry. If the music is fun, we want to see the choreography is fun. If the music is slow and like a movie score, then the movement needs to match that. What a great combination for a routine.
It got Lori amped up, so you know it got Lori amped up. It's got to be good. Interesting, she found out she made the Olympics. Her coach called her and her parents into the office and said they wanted to talk to her and said, "Here, read this text." And
oh my goodness.
And Natalia read the text without saying anything out loud that she had made the Olympics and qualified, and said that she just started crying. And what a great feeling. You guys know what that emotion's like, to realize you're going to the greatest sporting event in the world, and it's a special moment. Alcia D'Amato here.
Man, and everybody is looking forward to watching this athlete. She's had setback after setback, an ankle injury in 2022, back-to-back ACL injuries. So her just competing here is such an accomplishment.
And the Italian team in Paris, tremendous showing.
Yeah, her twin sister, Alicia, is the Olympic champion on this event.
Seeing some broken connections and wobbles there. That's going to pull both execution and difficulty down.
You can kind of see her take an angry breath there. The hard part about being out of competition for so many years is there's really no environment that can simulate a world championships and Olympic games. So it's almost like ripping the Band-Aid off here.
Absolutely, and each beam routine may be 1 minute and 30 seconds long, but that is the longest minute and 30 seconds of every gymnast's life. And in your head as the routine goes on, it's just keep it normal, take a deep breath.
And how quickly can I get off the beam right now? She made it through.
Big double pike to finish. Italian women getting the silver medal in the team competition in Paris, a surprise to some. 12.9 for D'Amato puts her in the 12th spot currently. 3 events to go. This is just the first rotation, 1 of 4 for the women. Escalara a 12.966, and she actually now moves into that 12th spot. Melnikova still in that top spot. The American Dulcie Kaler in second after that vault. Sugihara in third. The other American, Leanne Wong, with that tremendous start on bars in fifth. 2 Americans in the top 5 after the first rotation here in these all-around finals. All right, guys, so tell me, 1 rotation's in, it feels, first of all, like a cleaner competition than we saw in qualifications.
Definitely does. I feel that qualifications sometimes has a few more mistakes because it feels like you're working the kinks out, and here you're able to just show up and do the work having already been in this environment.
I think the equipment that we're hearing is taking a lot longer to adjust. And Lori, like you mentioned in qualification, there's something to qualify to. Whereas this is the final event. They're not trying to qualify. And there's something freeing about competing with that mindset versus trying to be perfect and trying to do your best. And I think we're seeing a little more loose gymnastics in a positive way, where they're really going for it. And a lot less mistakes on this first event than what we saw so far in qualifications.
I think there is something too. You know, they did podium training on this equipment, and then they come out in qualifications to get to go again. It's just familiarity with the environment, the podium, the equipment. You've done it before. It becomes less of a new thing. It just becomes more routine, no pun intended. But it feels like that's typical for a lot of big events, World Championships especially.
For most of these gymnasts, it's like the best is yet to come. We're still going to see Kalia on the uneven bars. We're going to get to see Aiko on beam. We're going to get to see all of these different athletes in their specific elements with those higher difficulties, those wow factor routines.
Well, let's talk about the Americans. Dulcie Kaler going to bars. Tremendous start on vault, but bars wasn't great in the qualifications, obviously, Sam.
This is the event that she wants redemption on. She said that bars sometimes she wants to go and get revenge on this, specifically in the finals, but she wants to make it so bad, and sometimes on that event she gets in her head, but she said she knows that she can do this bar routine, so I'm predicting she's gonna swing bars a bit more aggressively today.
Well, before we see that, this is Rina Kishi from Japan starting off the second rotation of this women's all-around final here on the balance beam, coming into the second rotation in the 10th spot.
This is really an event where she has the opportunity to improve. Oh man, really not pushing as hard through the balls of her feet on these skills to finish with enough rotation.
Her leg extension and pointed toes, it's very ballerina-like and so beautiful. It's something that I hope to see more of, especially in the next quad. I love that look of especially her ring leaps.
Yeah, we know the judges have been extra strict on the ring positions. You really need to be over split and stretched in order to get credit.
Chest down on the landing. Overall finishes pretty strong, but lots of big wobbles in the beginning of that routine.
Kishi, currently the #1 all-arounder in Japan, won their most recent national championships. It's a great look down the beam right there.
Yeah, she didn't put her back foot on, which essentially she was finishing on one leg. And even though it's significantly harder, you don't get extra points for that. So you want to put pressure on the back leg to help you stay balanced.
Her teammate, Aiko Sugihara, getting ready to go here on the uneven bars in her second event.
Remember, she was on fire on her Yurchenko 1.5 vault, completely stuck the landing, and I can just see this look in her eye. She looks like she's in attack mode right now.
She's in that third spot heading into the second rotation. Again, second highest qualifier coming in, so if she can replicate what she did in qualifications, absolutely giving herself a chance at the podium.
This was her weakest score in qualification. Nice full twisting pirouette on top of the bar. That was a really interesting fall. Looked like she didn't quite get the dowel part of her grips. You can see her chalking up. At the top part of your grips, there's something called a dowel, John.
It's like a piece
barrel,
of a little piece of a pencil that's been put in there, right, to hook over the bar.
And it allows your fingers to actually hook over the bar rather than just a piece of sort of leather and cloth flopping over the equipment. But sometimes if that dowel doesn't get all the way over, if your hand doesn't fully get onto the bar, we'll see a lot of peels like what we just saw, and it can catch a gymnast off guard for sure.
Yeah, she looks surprised. Was not expecting it, especially because she was really close to the bar. She should have gotten that dowel over. Man, disappointing.
Got a lot going on in those grips. We got tape, we got grips, wristbands.
Yeah, it's interesting. Every country, every athlete from every country does their grips a bit different. I'd like to get a how-to video on how she grips up, because it looks like there's a 10-step process there.
There is a lot going on. Unfortunate, though, for Sugihara. And that fall Asia D'Amato now from Italy on the floor exercise. 12-9 to start, so good start for her. Again, falling today could very well take you out of the medal hunt, but it's not always the case. You got to hit because other athletes have to hit, so it's not over until that last landing is completed.
Also, sometimes other athletes, of course, make mistakes later on in the competition. So even if she's had that bar routine, you want to keep doing the competition as if you still got a shot, because you do.
This is the event where I would expect it to have her to have had a slower return with all of her lower extremity injuries. She actually said that Rebecca Andrade is her inspiration because she also faced so many injuries and came back stronger. That's what she's hoping to emulate.
Yeah, 2 ACL injuries, thought about quitting the sport, decided to stick with it. Certainly happy she has done that. Looking great here in 2025 at these World Championships. Your leader after the first rotation was Angelina Melnikova with that 14.1. Now she takes to the uneven bars, where she put up the 3rd highest score on this event in the qualification. So certainly an opportunity for her to not just maintain that lead, maybe extend it.
Similar to vault on bars, her execution and lines throughout this routine really helps her score big, and she's dynamic too.
We call that floaty, Sam.
It's the technical term. Quick bar routine, but jam-packed, stuck the landing. That always helps. She's just a really complete all-around athlete. She has that artistic quality that you even see on uneven bars, but she's also so dynamic and powerful. Really is a special combination.
She won the world all-around title in 2021, but did not compete in international events from 2022 to 24 due to the FIG's ban on the Russian athletes. But coming back here as an independent athlete, making a statement halfway through that she wants that title back.
Well, she actually broke the Americans' 11 streak of world and Olympic all-around titles. She broke that streak for the Americans, so everyone should be scared of her because she has the ability to compete under pressure and put up those big scores.
Like we mentioned before, strategy counts as, you know, possibly doing a bit lower difficulty and making sure your execution is near perfection, but something that is phenomenal about all 4 of her events is that she has both high difficulty and pretty high execution.
She was part of the team that won the silver in Rio, your Olympic Games, Lori, but then they came back in Tokyo, and we'll never forget the drama with Simone Biles and everything the Americans had going on, and Melnikova and her team, they took that gold. A lot of people thought that was an automatic for the U.S. women. Over to balance beam. Roshina, Melnikova's teammate. Correction, Abigail Martin, rather, on the balance beam.
want to see her get the chest up quicker on those landings. It'll really help you square up if you're off center in the middle of your skill.
Yeah, she's able to flip incredibly fast, but I've noticed her height is quite low. Kind of an issue we saw in that aerial earlier, causing her to wobble.
Melnikova, a 14.7, so even higher than the score she got in the qualifications. She is taking an early stranglehold on the gold medal here in the all-around finals. 2 events to go for her. Feels like if she can stay on the beam and stay on her feet on floor exercise, that gold medal very well could be hers. Here on the uneven bars.
Quick Tkachev, Pak Salto combination for her to get things started.
This is Schoenmeier from Germany.
This is really her breakout season. She was an alternate for Germany's Olympic team just last year.
Clean.
Clean routine. There were some handstand positions and some shapes where I could definitely see the judges wanting to pull a 10th here, a couple 10ths here. So even though it was a hit routine, I wouldn't be surprised if the score is ultimately a bit low.
Well, when you're following and in the same rotation with Angelina, it's really tough to increase your execution score because she really sets the standard there.
Asia D'Amato, 12.8 for her floor exercise routine. Currently puts her in the 4th spot. Number of gymnasts yet to go here in the 2nd rotation, then obviously 2 more events yet to come, but good spot for her to be in currently.
And that's an upgrade for her in terms of scoring from qualification. So for her to get her feet wet again, back to competition, and for her to continuously to improve, that's really should be her goal here today.
Abigail Martin, 12.4 for that beam routine. Now that moves her into the 4th spot, just ahead of Asia D'Amato from Italy.
And you said it, John, there's just going to be a lot of back and forth in the standings today.
Next up on the balance beam here in the 2nd rotation of this women's all-around finals from Great Britain, Ruby Evans.
I just think her gymnastics has such a great energy to it. She brings a lot of life into her skills. We're seeing dynamic, we're seeing quick on her feet, but also for an event like the balance beam, you got to be able to balance that with breath and grace. And I'm curious to see how she finishes throughout this routine.
You can see her eyes watching the end of the beam. That always helps you balance and centers you.
Oh. There's sort of that energy I was talking about. And like we mentioned earlier, being able to absorb the beam on the landing allows for less wobbles.
She's such a powerful athlete, and sometimes the powerful athletes actually have a tougher time naturally on this event because they're not as used to absorbing and they're kind of just bouncing off the beam. So you really have to work extra hard to control the power and channel it center on the beam, especially when those nerves are at play.
And that was a hit routine, but I'm especially excited to see her floor exercise, because that energy and that dynamic feel to her gymnastics shines bright.
Ruby, a 2-time junior all-around champion in Great Britain. This is her 2nd World Championships. Made her Olympic debut last year in Paris. 13.2 for Schoenmeier on that bar routine. Currently puts her in the 2nd spot.
Another improvement.
Next up on bars for the United States, comes into this 2nd rotation in this women's all-around final in the 2nd spot. This is Dulcie Kaler. Big routine for her right here.
The problems have come right at the top of this routine. It's crucial for her to still be aggressive right here. Yes, hangs on to it. That's where she had the fall. during qualification and day 2. She's being a bit more aggressive. I like to see that.
Oh! And she had it in her hands, you guys. And again, we talked about the dowels earlier.
That to me looked like she had the dowel over the bar, but she didn't have enough height.
So it also seemed like sometimes when you're not ready to, when your hands aren't ready for the bar and you're moving that quickly, your momentum is flipping that fast. If your hands aren't ready, you might peel off just like that. And unfortunate mistake for Dulcie Kaler.
Man, the bar routine was moving really smooth. It's a skill that she hasn't struggled on in the past.
This is an event that she's had some tough times with over the last few competitions that we've seen her at, between qualifications, championships earlier this year. There was that mistake on the Tkachev.
And to me, what that says, it's more of a confidence issue than a skill issue.
And that's unfortunate. We saw Sugihara from Japan have a mistake, felt like the door was opening, if you will, for Dulcie Kaler. Should she hit that routine in particular, chance at the medal podium. Ruby Evans, 12.033 for her beam routine. Stay over on the balance beam. Petisco from Spain now comes into this rotation 7th. But opportunities, we've seen 2 athletes ahead of her in the standings after that first rotation have mistakes here in the second rotation. Most recently, obviously, Dulcie Kaler from the United States. So one person's mistake is another one's opportunity. Who is going to take advantage?
Whoever's going to take advantage is the athlete that's attacking beam and being aggressive. And I like what I saw on that mount. She got quickly to the finish position. She's bending her knees and absorbing the beam so far.
Great at that balance between, like you said, attacking the equipment while also, she was starting to see lots of falls and mistakes
on the wolf
at this
turns.
point.
Yeah, and she was off right when she started that.
Well, we had been talking how that first rotation seemed like the athletes had kind of got it together and were hitting more consistently. It might have been the ultimate jinx because we've had a few mistakes here.
I'm going to go ahead and say that was
rotation.
our fault.
Our bad.
Sorry.
Really working hard to get this beam routine back on track. The goal is to not make that 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, or 3 mistakes. Because your natural inclination when you have a mistake is to beat yourself up because you know exactly what went wrong in that split second. But the goal is to forget about it in the moment.
Sometimes it's best to even, yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's best to even forget that the fall happened and finish the routine as if all has been going well. And once you're off the equipment and the competition's over, then there's time to go and look and say, okay, what went wrong here and how can we shift practice to make sure this doesn't happen again? But in that moment, that's not the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're Dulcie Kaler or someone like her that's had mistakes, don't go to sleep. A 12.233, not a great score there, but we've seen these mistakes are happening, and sometimes in a competition they can be contagious. It might make the competition look a little ugly, but it doesn't mean it won't be exciting. And these athletes still, they got a chance. They got to hit. She's got 2 left. She's got to hit them.
Well, it was a slight upgrade from her score during qualification because she also fell on bars during that and still ended up in that 5th place spot. So she has really strong beam and floor to come.
Zhang Chengyin here from China on the uneven bars. You got to feel like if you're this athlete, stay on the bars and you're going to be right in there for the medal.
Quick pirouette right on top of the bar. The judges are looking for that. Good combination work.
There you go.
Okay.
That was a great routine.
Yeah.
One skill flowing into the next.
Capitalizing on the moment. We've seen 2 falls from this top group on the uneven bars, but for Qing Yang right there, gets it done with an exclamation point. Moving over to the vault now.
Just a Yurchenko full, which means her D score, difficulty score, is going to be much lower than some of the top athletes in the competition.
Lucia Riberar from Slovenia here, 13.1 for this effort.
Right there, we see the arms are a little bent, not too bad, but it's the form and the shape in the air that I think a lot of those deductions are going to come from, as well as the landing. So for a vault that has a lower difficulty score, she'll have to make it up on other events.
This is her 6th World Championships for the 24-year-old from Slovenia. Petisko unhappy with that beam routine, obviously, but here is a big moment, you guys. Leanne Wong on the balance beam. She's got vault and floor after this. This feels like her all-around medal moment. If she can stay on the beam, hit this routine right here, she's just got to stay on her feet for 2 more events, which isn't easy, but certainly doable. This a huge moment.
My palms are sweaty for her. I'm hoping that she is controlling her nerves a little bit more than I am in this moment.
We've also seen her do such beautiful beam work in the past. It's a bit reminiscent of Kyla Ross in the sense that it's one skill flowing. She finishes a skill, she goes right into dance.
What Leanne Wong does really well is finessing those skills.
Yeah.
If there's a little wobble, like you mentioned, she makes a dance
no
or a
problem.
pose out of it. So it's up to the judges' discretion on whether they think that it's choreography or whether they think it's a wobble. Still needs to be really aggressive.
So far, this is a nice routine.
Graduated from the University of Florida most recently. Magna cum laude, tremendous student.
Well, in 2021, she grabbed the all-around silver medal at World Championships.
Save right there.
Definite wobble, but she's able to keep it moving.
Doing a nice job with her connections throughout this routine. Wow.
That was huge. That was huge for Leanne Wong. You said it, Sam, was on the medal podium in 2021, trying to do it again, and that routine right there might be the biggest reason she does it, should it happen by the time we are finished. Wow. 13.9 for Qing Yang. That puts her in the 2nd spot currently. Now this one of the biggest routines. Maybe I'm going to go a little hyperbole here. The greatest routine being done by a female gymnast in the world. Sit back and just enjoy Kaylia Namor on the uneven bars.
So much difficulty. Everything essentially is connected, and she does it almost the same way every single time. That's the skill that's named after her.
Her score for the uneven bars qualifier was basically a point ahead of her competitors.
That's the reason why she's the reigning Olympic champion on this event. And you see she was unhappy with that.
She took a hop on the dismount,
She
Sam.
was a little shy on one handstand. But man, she does this routine so robotic every single time she gets on the bar. Incredible. Similar to how Simone Biles had such an advantage on events like vault and floor because of her difficulty. That's in a similar fashion what Kaylia has on this uneven bar routine, because she has so much of a difficulty advantage in comparison to everyone else.
Exactly. I'd say everyone else kind of varies around the 6s, sometimes high 5s, sometimes mid 6s, but Kaylia, she touches the 7s, and that's unseen by anyone else.
Artemanova now here on the vault.
Doing a Yurchenko full.
Tough to see from this angle, but there was a really big pike down shape towards the end, causing her to stumble out of it as well. Sometimes you would say, no, you don't need it. You have enough power. You don't need to pike down right there, causing that L shape.
12-9 for Sona Artemanova on her second rotation. The vault, man, that bar routine though from Nemore, that routine alone puts her in all-around contention for a medal. It's remarkable, and she's good on beam, but she doesn't stand out necessarily on those other events. But with such an advantage on that one, it is big for her. Escalara now from Mexico here on vault.
Powerful 1.5. This is her best event. And really, this is the only event that you can see execution scores in that 9 range is the goal. Execution for Natalia is the 8-9, close to the 9, but especially with a lower difficulty, you want to see the E score execution in the 9 range. Execution scores are out of a 10.0.
You're never going to see a 10, though. It's just the judges won't do it. Leanne Wong, a 13.5, and that is a big score for her. Big improvement from the qualification rounds, and lo and behold, it puts her in the 2nd spot. Melnikova's teammate, Roshina, now on the balance beam. Oh, and a mistake right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, this is an event for her to improve that score. Struggled on the qualification. This is the series that she had a fall on in qualification, so improvement there. But one of the younger athletes that doesn't have as much international competitive experience as some of these other athletes that have been to world championships many times. Hasn't quite figured out how to tap into controlling those nerves. Or some may say ignorance is bliss when you're so young competing at these world championships.
It can be intimidating to be out on the floor and to see athletes that, you know, whether it's through social media or other competitions that you've watched and sort of idolized in that way, and then competing in a competition with them. Definitely intimidating, but she's here and I want to see how she finishes this routine.
All these opportunities are a good stepping stone for the Olympics. That's what these athletes really have their eyes set on.
Unfortunate fall for Roshina. Finished 2nd all-around at the 2024 and 2025 Russian all-around, or national championships rather, and you can see that 11.7 there for her. Look at this though, a 15.166, and that will move her into 2nd spot, well ahead of Leanne Wong, who's currently in the 3rd spot. As we see the standings after the 2nd rotation, the American Leanne Wong holding on to that bronze, but Melnikova in that top spot, Nemore right behind her as we finish the 2nd rotation and we head towards rotation number 3. All right, so 2nd rotation done. Leanne Wong looks great, sitting in that 3rd spot. It's still very close from 3rd down, but guys, in that top spot, Melnikova less than 2/10 ahead of Nemore, but Nemore just did her best event by far. It feels like Melnikova's meet to win should she hit these last 2 routines. Nemore's probably silver medal to win, but after that, wide open.
Absolutely, and you know, we saw that disappointed face from Nemore after her routine. There was a missed connection in there. So even though to the eye it looks fantastic, it would make sense why she's like, oh, that's 2/10 that she could grab.
Well, I was just going to say, she was a couple tenths lower than qualification, and looking at the all-around standing, she'd be in the first place right now if she duplicated her score from qualification day.
Here we go as we begin this 3rd rotation here in Jakarta, Indonesia, the women's all-around finals. John Roethlisberger, Sam Pesek, Lori Hernandez with you. The leader after 2 was Angelina Melnikova, and here she is on balance beam.
Oh man, that's exactly the skill she fell on in qualification day, and you can see her smiling because she's just kicking herself that it happened again. That was such an important skill. This is an important routine for her to really create a cushion for herself in that first place spot.
And that cushion is no longer. She had about a 1.5 over the 3rd place spot, Leanne Wong, less than 2/10 over Nemore, who is in 2nd. But it felt like, should she hit, this is her gold medal. But now the door has just been knocked over. This meet is again wide open for the medals.
It's what makes all-around finals so exciting, that those top 3 spots are constantly shuffling, whether it's mistakes, whether it's we're looking at a gymnast doing her best event. Really exciting.
Finishing round off double pike. Good finish. Minimal mistakes after that fall, but not only is she going to get the deduction for the fall, but she really stumbled trying to save it. So I imagine the judges are going to add on to those deductions because it wasn't just a clean fall there.
Yeah, I mean, she fought and fought, and it looked like she had it, and then she didn't, and ultimately she didn't. Brianna Scott from Australia, 15th place after the 2nd rotation. Here she is on the bars.
Not as much difficulty here, so focus is on execution, getting those handstands to vertical, good distance away from the bar. That was phenomenal distance on that release move. You want to see your arms stretched before you catch.
I've seen quite a few short handstands, that 45-degree angle. It's like you want those toes all the way up to the ceiling and to almost hold that handstand for a second. But once it's short, it can definitely mess with the rhythm. There's deductions.
Similar to wobbles on beam, when you're a little nervous on bars, you tend to rush the handstands so you can not quite make it to that vertical position, which is, I think, what we're seeing here.
I think there's also that fear of falling over on a handstand, which is something that happens often, and it feels like such a silly mistake, but you gotta hit the handstand.
Asia D'Amato from Italy on vault, 13th coming into this rotation.
Yurchenko double full, 2 twists, clean landing, did have to bend those knees coming around the last twist.
But we got a fist bump. She liked it, and this is gonna move her up the standings, maybe significantly up the standings.
Starts twisting a little early with that arm. You see her arm bending on the table and showed up a little bit, but actually does a nice job getting her chest up quickly on the landing.
Right down the center for D'Amato. We saw Melnikova get a 14.1 for that vault in the opening rotation, and she flirts with that. I was going to say she may get a very similar score, 13.966. So that is a big number with other gymnasts making mistakes again. Opportunity maybe for D'Amato. And a 12.8 for Melnikova. Not a disaster though, Sam. That's still, you know, again, not what she wanted. but we're not seeing a ton of high scores. So a 12.8, not necessarily going to take her out of that gold medal hunt. Schoenmeier from Germany coming into this rotation in 5th, but it's the balance beam. It's the wild card.
Yeah, this is an area where she could
The mount almost gets another one.
Man, when you're nervous, doing a difficult mount is
I was just going to say that.
Tough. There's something about getting on the beam solid that's really important for the flow and the confidence for the rest of your routine.
Was there any philosophy amongst the national team when you guys were on the team about what type of mounts they encouraged or didn't encourage? Because you said it, Sam, to run and do a punch front up onto the beam, that's a stressful way to begin a stressful event.
Yes, it was advised, do not do a difficult mount under any circumstance.
I do feel it's definitely more encouraged now to do an acro or leap mount onto the beam, but back in my day, we saw a lot of straddle mounts, and all the acro came from kind of in the middle of the routine.
Starting solid on a beam routine is really important, in my opinion, to start off on the right foot, because we're seeing a lot of wobbles throughout this routine.
And you know, it's also really common to see a fall at the beginning, and then to see an absolutely gorgeous routine sort of finished up, because
pressure's off.
The pressure's off.
And then you just kick yourself for the rest of the day going, dang it, why did I make that mistake?
But between that or staying on the equipment but wobbling on every skill, I'd pick the former, because you can definitely, there's execution issues with wobbling, there's technical issues if you are wobbling in the first place.
Brianna Scott, 12.666, 3rd spot currently. A lot of gymnastics to go yet here in this 3rd rotation. Abigail Martin from Great Britain on the floor exercise.
She made floor finals. This is definitely one of her strongest events.
Melnikova, again, still in that top spot, partway through this 3rd rotation. D'Amato from Italy in the 2nd spot. Brianna Scott from Australia currently sits in 3rd. Oh, beautiful.
She runs hard into these tumbling passes.
That right foot perilously close to that out of bounds. We'll see if the judges give her a penalty. Couldn't totally tell from our perspective.
I know we're all still a little traumatized by out of bounds deductions after the 24 Olympics.
Yeah, the springier the floors have gotten over the years, it seems like the more difficult it is to stay in bounds over the years.
Well, we've been hearing this floor is so firm, but you couldn't tell with Abigail because she looks like she has springs within her body.
And especially with those nerves and that adrenaline, sometimes you can use that to run faster, push harder, tumble higher, but that can also cause some out of bounds issues. I like it too.
Yeah, that mount, the big mount to open, we have not seen a lot of those full twisting double layouts on the women's side. We've seen a couple of double layouts. She added the twist, and man, she made it look easy.
Yeah, one of the most difficult floor routines that we're gonna see here today. Good tumbling, but she also had some good dance as well. Gets her chest up. You want to see those hips stretched in that double layout position.
You'll get to see that floor routine again in the individual event finals as well, as Abigail Martin finished 6th in the qualification. Schoenmeier, 11.9. Fortunate for her. Now, Dulcie Kaler from the United States gets ready to take the balance beam. We saw her have that fall on the even bars in the last rotation, but keep this in mind. She's got 2 events left, the balance beam and the floor exercise, where she has qualified for the event finals on both of them. That means these are very good events for her and still an opportunity. This is not over for Dulcie Kaler, but she has got to hit. She's got to hit clean, and she will give herself a chance.
And let me remind you, she made this beam routine after a fall on bars on the qualification day. So unfortunately, she didn't want to have to repeat that scenario, but she does have practice with it. Laura, you were talking about choreographing, breathing, and I want to see her take a deep breath because it looks like she's holding her breath and not fully absorbing the beam when she lands.
Sam, that's exactly what I was just thinking, and almost feeling like I'm holding my own breath, sort of watching, kind of craving that exhale and seeing her shoulders relax and to breathe into the dance, the artistry.
Oh, man.
Unfortunate, and that is most likely gonna do it for Dulcie Kaler's all-around medal hopes.
She said after qualification that she tries to use choreography on beam to give her the confidence for the skills, so I hope she leans into that right now. Whenever you have some mistakes or a fall, it's good to think back on what works for you and to bring back that confidence to finish this routine.
These competitions can feel so big and so unfamiliar that finding familiarity in your routines and almost finding a bit of comfort in that can be incredibly helpful when you're out there, you're nervous, the podium lights are on. Really unfortunate mistake for Dulcie Kaler.
Abigail Martin, 13.266 for her floor routine. But I'll tell you what, Dulcie Kaler, we have not seen the last of her. This all-around final not going the way she wanted to, but certainly this World Championship's a boost for her, and she was training for 2028. She wants to be there in LA and help the United States bring home some medals. Ruby Evans now on floor exercise for Great Britain.
Well, this is one of the routines that people came here to watch. She is phenomenal on this event. The most amount of difficulty, but you're also going to see a lot of artistry throughout this routine.
Like out of bounds there. Lots of front twisting, tumbling passes, her sort of specialty there in a way.
This is about the part in the floor routine where you stop feeling your legs and you're going off willpower for her fourth and final tumbling pass. She had that out of bounds, but other than that, her landings were really clean, good body positions in the air. She's just such a quick twister. It helps her execution score.
Yeah, big routine for her. Finished third in the qualifications on this event. So I suspect you'll still see a decent score from her. Liafont from Spain now on vault. '18-year-old competing in her second World Championships.
This is her best event. Wow. Great stuck landing. I can't believe how quickly she was able to get that chest up after her feet landed.
Towards the end, there were a few execution issues, but like you mentioned, that landing.
Yeah, the feet in the air a little bit, but.
And you see the split legs, but for her to get her chest up that quick after the vault, that's impressive.
And she finished sixth in the vault at the most recent European Championships. Unfortunate 11.9. For Dulcie Kaler, puts her in the 11th spot in the all-around just with floor exercise to go. One mistake, you know, you can think maybe that you're still in it, but 2 mistakes most certainly gonna end Dulcie Kaler's quest for an all-around medal. Someone who is definitely in the hunt for an all-around medal. Qing Ying from China now on the balance beam.
And this is her best event. She qualified in the #1 spot after qualification, and she's gonna put on a clinic here, mostly because of those the landings after each of her skills. We've been talking about it throughout this event.
Yeah.
Watch when she lands each skill, how much of a bend she has in her knees.
Most athletes would have had a big wobble, put their hand down on the beam for that last skill, would have fallen, but she was able to just bend her knees a little lower and absorb the shock of that landing. It really is phenomenal to watch.
It also helps with her connections. That skill right there is really what she's known for.
And if she can do what she did in qualification, she put up a huge 14.366. Sam, you mentioned that was the #1 score on beam in the women's competition. Melnikova put up a 12.8 earlier here in this rotation. She could pick up a 1.5 on the leader in this one event, but she's got to repeat that tremendous performance from qualification.
We've been talking about how she absorbs the beam well. She also has strong arm positions throughout this routine that helps her stay balanced. Man, whoa, that was good.
I just loved watching that. That was, what a beautiful routine to see those skills flowing in and out. I keep saying rhythm, but to pass and to start one skill, to end it, to let that blend into choreography, just really beautiful work.
Here in the 3rd rotation, Jakarta, Indonesia, the women's all-around finals. Escalara from Mexico now mounts the uneven bars.
Good catch. First 2 release moves. You can see her rhythm is not quite as fluid as some of the top athletes in this competition. She's using her muscles a little bit more than the swing of the bar, but she's doing a good job working through it. Of course, it's way more taxing and exhausting to work bars this way. Missed her feet. Good finish.
See the way her hands move there. She was over the bar, too much momentum on that pirouette.
And that 12.933 from Natalia Escalera from Mexico currently puts her into the 3rd spot. Yes, we are still in the 3rd rotation. We have a few athletes yet to go, but that is tremendous for her. It has been an up and down women's all-around final with a fair amount of mistakes. But within those mistakes comes opportunity for new athletes to jump up the standings. And here is Kaya Tonskanen. Tremendous event for her on the vault.
Powerful athlete. She's usually so clean in the air. The goal is to minimize landing deductions.
She did.
She did just that.
She's really been moving confidently, calmly throughout this World Championships.
She's got the uneven bars yet to go, but with that vault, she's going to move into the 5th spot. The uneven bar is a tough event for her, so she's going to want to put together maybe a career best performance, and who knows. Ruby Evans, 13.2, moves into the 12th spot.
You can see that out-of-bounds penalty there as well, 3/10.
Without that out of bounds, she really would have had the exact same score she got in qualification, so she's showing consistency.
Lena Bickel from Switzerland now takes her turn on the vault.
Yurchenko full. But good, really strong execution, and I love how she popped off the vault table. We're gonna see it right here. She really comes off straight, pops all the way up, waits to twist. That is really textbook of how you should be twisting off the table on these vaults.
You said wait to twist, and immediately I found myself nodding along for that, because a lot of times we see gymnasts start turning when their hands are on the table, which causes for landing deductions. You don't get as much height as you could possibly get. But for her, seeing that rise in her chest still facing the vault runway before she starts to turn, really beautiful.
We've actually seen a lot of gymnasts twisting early here on this table.
Second World Championships for Lena. Made her Olympic debut in Paris last year. Just 20 years old, certainly gonna train for that LA Games. Winding down here, this third rotation in the women's all-around finals, currently in the top spot. Melnikova, followed by D'Amato from Italy, Escalera from Mexico. But look at this, a 14.833 on the balance beam from Qing Ying. Big improvement, and that moves her into the top spot.
That's like a 5/10 improvement from qualification day. She already had a big number. Man, that's impressive.
And we said she could put some pressure on the leader, Melnikova, and she absolutely did. Now, opportunity for Lian Wang. Can she stay in that top 3? Can she tighten the standings with the top 2, Melnikova and Qing Ying?
Oh, that was good. This is a strong event for Lian. She needs to minimize every landing deduction. Well, she's known to do her best with more pressure, and man, she is rising to the occasion. You see Chelsea Memel, one of the technical leads, the high performance directors. Good double-double, legs pretty much squeezed till the end. That step on the landing is really the biggest landing deduction I saw.
Nicknamed the CEO, she's got numerous businesses, as well as graduating from Florida, as well as competing for the team and for the national team. She is something special, and that routine will keep her in contention. It would take a 14.433 for Wang to move into the top spot. That's not going to happen, but she will certainly be still in the top 3 after that floor routine, as we see Namor after that tremendous bar routine here. She is on balance beam. Big moment for her.
I think this routine right now will decide the future of this competition. She had a fall on this in qualification day. She's looking aggressive so far in this beam routine. She's still so good on this event that even with a fall, finished in the 8th spot on this event.
I'm seeing a lot of that grace that we notice on the uneven bars for her does get transferred over into this event as well.
Oh man, that is exactly what she fell on in qualification day. So similar to her and Angelina, both having repeat falls on the same skill, I actually think is a little bit strange.
Wow, an unfortunate mistake. Door was open. for Namor. Namor originally from France, but now represents her father's birth country of Algeria.
It was a nearly perfect routine up until that point. So assuming she has a good finish, the score will still be high. But disappointing. She really had an opportunity there to jump up.
And if there's a mistake on different skills when competing, then typically that's attributed to nerves. But if we're seeing mistakes on the same skills over and over again, then it's just a technical issue.
That 13.2 for Leanne Wang is an improvement from her qualification score, and that will currently put her into the third spot. Rina Kishi from Japan, currently in 6th. Correction. Well, we just saw the scoreboard change. You guys haven't seen it yet, but Namor from Algeria's score just came in. It's a 13.066 on balance beam. That moves her into the 2nd spot, Wang into 4th, but it is very close.
Another one of the floor teens with so much difficulty. But the difficulty doesn't help you that much if you're wobbling and stumbling on the landings. It's really that risk versus reward we've been talking about throughout this competition.
You had mentioned during Qingying's beam routine of getting 5/10 higher than qualifications. When we see landing deductions with low chest and a big step, she went out of bounds on that turn. That's already more than 5/10 deduction that we just saw here. Every 10th matters. That's really tough to have quite a big mistake on a dance element, a turn element over an acro tumbling pass.
Namora 13.066, as we mentioned, for that beam routine, but it's still good enough to keep her in the top 3. And this is going to be interesting. We'll handicap that 4th and final rotation because that moves Leanne Wang into 4th, but she's going to vault, and we will talk about that and how that could affect the standings and what her chances are, as we see Aiko Sugihara currently on the balance beam. Unfortunate fall on the uneven bars in the last rotation made her chances go down for that all-around medal. Got to be perfect here.
So far, a fantastic start.
A really good event for her. She has a good chest position when she lands these skills, and she goes into them really aggressively. And I think the best beam workers in the world really attack beam, especially in the critical moments. You can see her visibly breathing throughout this beam routine.
Little stumbles after that. We've seen a lot of mistakes due to low height and not enough power. For that one, she had a little too much.
She might be seeing the falls in this rotation and then really putting more pressure to be perfect. Usually that's what happens to mistakes on beam. You start getting in your head instead of just doing your normal.
It's also interesting to note, I wonder how many athletes are aware of the falls happening around them and recognizing medal potential, if I hit this routine good, I could advance, but that definitely adds more pressure. And this competition is already pressure enough.
Rina Kishi, 12.8 for her floor exercise score, currently puts her into the 7th spot. Sugihara from Japan, a 13.366, good score for her, keeps her in the top 6. Third rotation is complete, and Qing Ying moves into that top spot ahead of Namor from Algeria. Melnikova, after that tremendous bar routine, falters on the balance beam. She moves to 3rd. The American Leanne Wong knocking on the door in 4th.
So it's between
I'm really curious to see if Leanne can make up that score and get into that 3rd place spot.
Well, here this is interesting because, and I know Sam's going to say the same thing. She's chomping at the bit. I can see it. Leanne scored a 14.4 on her Chung vault in the qualifications. If you look at what the other gymnasts score that she's going up against, we got Qing Ying, we got Namor, and we got Melnikova in the top 3. The highest score out of any one of those athletes on floor exercise in the qualifications was a 13.1 from Melnikova. Right now, Leanne Wong is 1.233 out of the top spot. If they all do exactly what they did in the qualifications on this last rotation, Leanne Wong is going to be the world all-around champion. Now, will that happen? That's unlikely that they do exactly what they did, but it's very likely that Leanne Wong moves into the top 3.
I have a few questions.
Okay.
Which vault is Leanne Wong going to do?
That's a great question.
She had a fall very uncharacteristic on her Yurchenko double full, which is typically her most consistent, her most clean. I would argue to say the vault that she would score higher on 9 times out of 10. Are they going to decide for her to try that vault again, knowing she had a fall on qualification day? Or are they going to go with the more difficult vault, which she's had some struggles with putting both hands on the table? It's definitely riskier, but she had a better shot of it in the qualification.
Here's the thing. You don't knock on the door of a world all-around gold medal that often in your life. If you guys are Leanne Wong,
I'm hoping for a full send Chung.
What are you doing? Are you swinging for a home run, or are you trying to get a base hit and just be safe?
Personally, I would swing big because we've seen her consistency there, and we know she can do it. But will she?
Welcome back to the women's all-around final. We have moved into the 4th and final rotation. This is Schoenmeyer from Germany. Unfortunate fall on that opening pass.
Man, it hurts when you fall short like that.
Physically and to ego.
Really struggling with the landings.
Not the finish that Schoenmeyer was hoping for on that floor routine.
Part of me wonders how much the equipment and the floor plays into it. Or sometimes, you know, with nerves, there is that sense of overcorrection. Okay, I know I have a lot of energy. I know I'm going to really go for it, but that can also cause out-of-bounds issues and landing issues. The balance between that can be tough.
Abigail Martin in her 4th and final rotation comes in 9th into this vault. An opportunity for her to move up. Again, vault, it's just one element. You hit it clean, gives you less opportunities for the judges to take deductions. So in theory, an opportunity for higher scores and to move up in the standings.
You see the start value of 5-0. That means she's doing a Yurchenko double full. Quick twister.
So tough. I would love to see the angle from the side so I could see how the body shape looks as each gymnast's feet come in contact with the floor, because that determines a lot.
Well, also that's where the judges are sitting from. So it's easy for us to see deductions from the back view, but the judges aren't sitting there, so that's not the accurate view they're seeing.
Laia Font from Spain. She will finish her competition on the uneven bars.
Good moving from one bar to the next. Sounded like she hit her heel slightly.
Yeah. Again, tough to tell from this angle, but there's always a specific noise that happens when you hit your feet on the bar, and I fear we all heard it.
It also can mess you up, so props to her for continuing the momentum and really pretending like nothing happened. Maybe the judges didn't hear it.
Schoenmeier, the 20-year-old from Germany, 11.9 on that floor exercise routine. She was an alternate on the Olympic team last year for Germany. Now Dulcie Kaler, she will be in the floor exercise final. So she has a couple of chances actually to win an individual medal yet, the beam final and the floor exercise final. It will not be her first medal in the all-around, however. 2 falls today took her out of contention, currently in the 16th spot, but she's great here.
Opens with double layout. Good stuck landing. Her signature pass, she nails it.
Momentum moving backwards, automatically switching to forwards. Really unique. We'll only see that once more.
Makes my ankles hurt just watching. That is so tough.
Oh my goodness.
What a good finish for Dulcie. That was a beautiful floor routine.
This was such a huge competition, of course, for everyone, but especially for her, knowing it's one of her first major international ones. And while there were 2 falls to qualify into all-around finals, to qualify into other events, what a feat for her.
Yeah, Sky Blakely, she actually said, gave her some good advice, and to think of this as a springboard to 2028, and really the sentiment is using all of these opportunities for the future.
Trains at World Champions Center, same gym that Simone Biles trained at, as we quickly go to vault and Ruby Evans.
Another quick twisting Yurchenko double full.
Most common vault we'll see here today.
She twisted slightly early off the table, but you can see when she twists, her legs are together. We have not seen that with all the athletes, which is why her execution score was in the 9 range.
14.033 for Ruby Evans. Good finish for her in this competition. That'll certainly move her up the standings. Currently, it puts her in the top spot, but that will not hold as the leaders are yet to come. That was Abigail Martin's score as well, 13.866. So she actually moves into the top spot currently, right ahead of Ruby Evans. Alba Petisco now on vault.
She was a little crooked in qualification day, incurred a 3/10 deduction, so could have an automatic improvement.
That's, I'd say.
A stuck landing will do it.
Wow. Her score should significantly improve.
There's definitely a lot of pride in knowing that you've got one skill or one score in qualifications, and then you're able to come into finals and to shift that and to look back and say, I did better later on.
Her start value, C, is a 4.6, which is a 4/10 lower than the athletes doing a double full, which I think 1.5s are harder because it's a blind landing. But for her to capitalize on the stuck landing, phenomenal job.
You can definitely make that argument. 13.433 for Dulcie Kaler as she finishes out her first ever all-around finals here at a World Championships. Cheng Ying now for China. She was in the top spot after that third rotation. That tremendous balance beam routine launched her into that position. Now this is a big time moment. Not her strongest event, so she's got to hit this one clean.
Because she doesn't have as much difficulty, it is imperative that she controls these landings.
That was a beautiful switch ring. Your chest was extended towards the ceiling. Knee all the way bent. I would love to see more of that from everyone.
Wow, her leaps and jumps, you called it, Lori, were spot on. Completely oversplit. She got all of her connections, her wolf turn. Just a few steps on the landing, but I think she really capitalized on her routine here.
And hey, leaps, jumps, and turns have their own sets of difficulty, just like tumbling does. So being able to get the turn all the way around for leaps, it matters just as much as a landing on an acro pass.
Laya Font at 12.533 for her bar score, but back to Cheng Ying, absolutely giving her a chance at an all-around medal, but a lot on this vault right here. We asked about whether she'd do the double twist or the chung. She's gonna do the chung, going for gold, Leanne Wong.
Huge pop off the table.
And a huge reaction from Coach.
And that could be it. Got a 14.4 on this. Look at that, a 14.466.
Wow. Watch her chest. When her feet hit the ground, her chest is vertical. That is so hard to do on a difficult vault like this. She wanted to come in with redemption, and I think she did everything she could here today.
I'll tell you what. Again, we said it earlier, if everybody in this last rotation does what they did in qualifications, that 14.466 from Leanne Wong pun intended, will vault her to the gold medal. World all-around champion. She has given herself a legitimate shot to do it. Rina Kishi here on vault for Japan.
Doing a Yurchenko double. Another good landing. Man, it's contagious over there on the last event.
One more look.
Slight arm bend on the table. I'd like to see her get the arm straight, block through her shoulders versus her elbows. That'll get a couple more inches in the air to help with the rotation at the end of the vault.
Her chest was a bit far down on that landing as well. Typically, we want the chest to face the vault table, but for hers, it was sort of facing the ground towards those lines. And if you're able to pull it up quickly, sometimes you can get away with it, but it can be a huge deduction that gets added onto at the end, even if there's not a lot of steps.
And for Ching Ying, it's a 12.9. You see the 2 next to her name. That means Leanne Wong has moved past her in the all-around standings. Another athlete that she has to move past is Kalia Namor. Partway through this women's all-around finals in the 4th rotation, we are coming down to the wire. Kalia Namor on the floor exercise in the medal hunt.
She doesn't have very much difficulty in comparison to the other athletes vying for the spot, so everything she does needs to be as perfect as possible here.
So Kalia Namor chasing down Leanne Wong, needs better than a 13.268 to move into the top spot. And that would be about a half a point more than she got in qualification. So she's gonna have to knock this out of the park.
Deduction for a fall, but that is significant.
That mistake might just be what keeps her out of gold.
Yeah, there is no way that she's gonna get the score she needs to pass Leanne Wong. A few landing errors here. Doesn't quite get all the way around on the twist.
We'll wait for the confirmation from the judges to what you just said, Sam, but I agree that 13.268, she had to be visually perfect for that score to come up, was not. That means Melnikova is the last gymnast that can catch Leanne Wong, who's sitting in that top spot. Almost unofficially, we'll say Leanne Wong will be on the podium. Roshina now, independent athlete from Russia.
Looks like she twisted into the ground there. You want to finish your twist way before your feet hit the ground, just to make it as safe as possible and to make it as clean as possible.
We've been talking about also hitting that table with straight arms, shoulders in your ears, and full body extension. But hitting that table with bent arms, it's like the equipment will absorb that power that you could use for the height and distance needed to land with your chest up, with minimal landing deductions.
Rina Kishi with that vault score of a 13.966 currently moves her into the 3rd spot. So currently holding on to that medal, but will need some help from some other athletes. Most importantly, Angelina Melnikova, who is yet to go on the floor exercise. I know we've got some gymnastics to go, guys, but anybody handicap this meet ahead of time and have Leanne Wong being your all-around champion? Not done deal yet. There's some work to be done out there yet, but in an incredible spot to be at this point.
Hey, I'd never bet against Leanne Wong. I've watched her in enough critical moments to know that she shows up when it matters the most.
Namor at 12.866. Man, you know, what if is the question. She had that mistake on beam. Other people had mistakes too. But, you know, she hits that beam or she even hits that cleaner floor routine, she might be sitting in that top spot. Man, gymnastics, unforgiving sport. Sugihara now for Japan. So right now, Leanne Wong in the top spot. Zhang Chengying from China in number 2, and Kalia Namor moves into that 3rd spot. Rina Kishi from Japan moves down to 4th.
And this is Aiko's best event. She has lots of difficulty. Starting off with a clean double layout. Wow. Really not many deductions to take on that.
She's really close to that out of bounds line, but her landings are so clean, she doesn't touch it.
She's got the difficulty, but she also has the theatrical component to this floor routine that just makes you smile when you watch it. And I also have to bring up, the harder you dance, the more exhausting your routine is for the tumbling passes. So I always really commend these athletes that are dancing hard, because it's tough to complete those tumbling passes in 1 minute and 30 seconds with tough choreography.
And those facial expressions are a part of those possible artistry deductions, but I'll tell you what, she didn't get any, not on that. What a joy to watch.
Asia D'Amato on the uneven bars for Italy comes into this final rotation in 5th. Great day for her overall, though. She will finish very high in the standings. Top 10 finish, always great at a World Championships.
She has such amazing form throughout this bar routine. Got a lot of difficulty. Difficult combination work at the end of her routine. Wow, what a good day. You mentioned that, but I got a second how amazing she did, especially in comparison to qualification. She really looks like she's getting her groove back, her feet wet back after so many years from competition.
Yeah, let's talk about the comeback. Missed those Paris Games because of a torn ACL. Talked about quitting the sport of gymnastics, and she's thrilled that she didn't, and this is a big moment for her.
Those kinds of injuries can make it very easy to come back into practice, to look at those skills that especially affect that injury the most, and to be really stressed out about them. The goal is to get out of your head and to go and compete as best as possible, and not think about, okay, here's all the problems that I've had before. But with an injury like that, we have to commend her.
With that D'Amato bar routine, she moves into the 4th spot, but it all comes down to this. Angelina Melnikova needs a 13.366. Better than that to win gold. She scored a 13.1 in the qualifications, but only had a 7-7 execution score. She absolutely can improve on that. She's going to have to do it if she wants to win gold again. Oh, and I think both heels went out. That moment right there. Watch that. If that's a 3/10 deduction plus the hop,
that's
that
detrimental.
Could be the difference.
Every landing needs to be precise.
Only 3 gymnasts in the qualification out of all the athletes scored higher than a 13.366, so that gives you an idea of how tough it is.
That turn, the way she fell out of that turn, on top of the possible out-of-bounds deduction, I think gold is Leanne's.
I think I heard you say it, Lori, but again, is it enough, you guys? Had some mistakes. 13.366, not an easy score.
I love watching Angelina on this floor team, but none of those tumbling passes were spot on. Watch her feet when she lands. Even that one, she had 2 steps. That's 2/10 right there.
But that big one, the hop on the mount.
She fell out of her turn. If we're watching from more of a judging critical eye here, I just don't think it's enough to get the score she needs to surpass Leanne Wong.
It was the 2021 World Championships. Melnikova won gold. Leanne Wong won silver. Here they are again. Who would have thought 4 years later they'd be battling for that gold medal again?
And there were some falls from these top athletes. Angelina had a fall on beam. Kalia had a mistake on beam as well. But guess who didn't have a mistake today? It was Leanne Wong.
And I will give a shout out, Sam, you said before the competition, I think Lori, you reiterated it, I think Leanne Wong's gonna have herself a day. And she has, regardless of where this ends up. And the longer this takes, the more interesting it gets.
My heart is beating. I can only imagine being Leanne Wong or Angelina just waiting.
I tell you what, and nicknamed the CEO because she has so many things in her life that are going on, businesses she runs, going to Florida. We've all talked about it. How does she possibly manage all the things that she does and do it from the outside looking in so seemingly easy?
Yeah.
And here she is. Who would have thought coming into these World Championships, Leanne Wong would be an all-around medalist, but have a chance to be the world champion?
That's what it means to hit when it counts, though, to show up when the pressure's on. People are, you know, having some really high difficulty routines, but those mistakes, they show up at the end. For Leanne to go and hit 4 for 4 and do it cleanly.
A 13.466. They only gave her a 1/10 penalty for that out of bounds. And I thought it was a 3/10 penalty, but the judges saw it differently. They can use video review, but the bottom line, that score, it's enough. She's the world all-around champion again.
Wow.
I gotta say, I'm shocked.
I am so surprised.
I mean, first and foremost, major congratulations to her, because what a feat. But when it comes to those technicalities and those little mistakes,
Absolutely, it just goes to show you that every event, every little thing really has an effect. And you said it, it was 2021 World Championships repeating. We thought it was going to be in the reverse. Wow.
Wow, what a dramatic finish. Melnikova did have 1/10 more in difficulty, in this routine today than she had in qualifications. 1/10, obviously not the difference. Had to do better than a 13.366. Actually, 1/10 is a difference in my elementary school math. She did get 1/10 higher, but what I want to see is that video of the out of bounds, because that looked right on the edge. Now, that is something that if you inquire, you can go to video review, but in the moment, I don't know that they look at it unless there is an inquiry. Now, people are at home are like, why doesn't Leanne Wong inquire? You can't inquire about someone else's score.
Right. Right. Wow. I mean, for an athlete to stay as dominant, and I'm speaking about both Angelina and Leanne, to be so dominant for so many years, to come back and have a performance like this, incredible.
The two-time Olympian has not been on the world stage since she won the world all-around title in 2021. Angelina Melnikova gets the gold. Leanne Wong second. Qingying from China in third. Wow, I think we're all taking a deep breath. And again, I don't want to take anything away from Angelina Melnikova, because tremendous, a veteran, 25 years old, and to come in on this world stage after being absent from it for so long and do what she did, certainly impressive. But you gotta think though, what if for Leanne Wong? Because there are some questions, and you guys saw the mistakes in that floor routine. Again, you could rehash the whole meet, which you can find a 10th here or a 10th there from any of these athletes, but the last thing you see, the last taste in your mouth, the biggest one for me, though, is that out of bounds. And I didn't even have a question in my mind that it was a 3/10 out of bounds when I saw it.
Well, I'm also want to echo a similar sentiment that I don't want to take anything away from Angelina. I love her gymnastics, but if we're just comparing execution scores on floor alone, not difficulty, just execution, I saw so many landing errors. We saw her fall out of her wolf turn. Unfortunately, I just don't agree with that execution score being the exact same as Leanne Wong's execution score on floor.
Well, actually, you bring up a good point, because Angelina Melnikova got the highest execution score out of every athlete in this all-around finals on floor exercise. And I'm looking at my two experts next to me that maybe that doesn't quite feel right to you guys.
I'm not sure it does. If I'm looking at the Chung specifically, there's definitely some landing deductions that happened there that there's the question of always what if, right? 1/10 here, 1/10 there. Maybe had Leanne had more of a block, had she not stumbled back, had she, but I think with the gymnastics we saw today, kind of similar to Sam and similar to both of you, what a huge feat for Angelina. And I'm not sure I also agree with the scoring that came from that last floor routine.
Well, and just bringing up Leanne's vault, she got a 14.466, higher than she scored in the qualifications.
Right.
And you think, well, maybe that was a little bit higher than it should have been. But keep in mind too, she got about 1.2 off in execution deductions on that vault. And you think, well, gosh, is there more than that? Should there have been more than that? That one's tough. I mean, it's hard to think you're going to get more than a 1.2 off on a single vault. But you break it down in super slow-mo, I guess, and we can really analyze it. But as of right now, nothing's going to change.
I mean, it's a good rule of thumb in the sport of gymnastics is to be so good that they can't deny you of these scores, regardless of who you are. And man, it's tough when it is a subjective sport. It's the sport we all love. It's the sport that we love to watch, and it's easy for us to sit back and have a critical eye and watch the replays, and it's really tough to be a judge in real time and make the correct decision under pressure. They're also under pressure.
Let's shift gears to the other all-arounder from the United States, Dulcie Kaler. Hopefully this will be a springboard for her into more great things down the road. Her first World Championships didn't go the way she wanted, but great things to come from her, no doubt. All-around competition in the books, but there can only be one dream routine. One Sattva presents dream routine, and it's Leanne Wong's vault.
Well, it has to be this Chung vault. She upgraded it. She got her chest up in the landing. She went for the more difficult vault, and it showed up in the score.
Right, like you said, she had the option to do an easier vault, maybe a little bit cleaner, and she went for difficulty and got that monster score, putting her on that podium.
That was a look at the Sattva dream routine. She had to do it to give herself a chance at gold. She did, and it gave her a great chance, but in the end, it was 1/10 of a point. Angelina Melnikova gets gold. America's Leanne Wong gets silver, and Zhang Qingying from Japan rounds out the top 3. So that does it for the women's all-around competition. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to inspire world-class achievement at all levels of the sport and life. Please visit usagymfoundation.org to learn more. Tune in tomorrow at 3 Eastern for the start of the individual apparatus finals on Peacock. For Sam Peshek and Lori Hernandez and our entire NBC sports crew, I'm John Roethlisberger, and I'm saying so long from the World Gymnastics Championships.